I'll never forget this. Unless he's dying today, it's not an emergency. This is my story of how the medical system failed me during the COVID pandemic and how it led to a 200-pound weight gain. I got sick in 2018. Didn't know what it was. And I think we talked about this when we went to have lunch. Couldn't figure it out. I was just feeling weird. Actually, I wasn't even feeling weird in the beginning. It was like normal. Then I woke up with some aches. Then I woke up with some pains. And in true foreigner fashion, we don't believe in doctors. We have the, I'll sleep and tomorrow it should be better. It wasn't getting better. It was getting worse, but it was so gradual. I was starting to get pains radiating. I was starting to have issues with like hair freaking falling out. That's why I had to let it go, because it was like the rat's nest that was building back here.
Oh man.
The hair was falling out. The weight, dude, I was piling like 50 pounds a month, which was insane because my doctors are like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I'm dying in front of everybody's eyes. Bro, COVID happens. They were like, we've tested everything. We can't find it. COVID lockdowns happen as I was scheduled to have an EGD, which is an endoscopy, whatever, where they put a scope down your throat, take pieces of your stomach and your organs to see what's wrong. I go on a waiting list and I am just getting sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker, bro. And it's getting to the point where like the nurses are on the verge of breaking down crying because they're like seeing me withering away. Weight is up almost 200 pounds. And this went on for like a year. So in a year, I gained like 200 plus pounds. Struggling with moving, struggling with breathing, struggling with everything. Like I just can't, I'm not even like, I can't even stand for more than 5 minutes. A year goes by. They finally get me in. The lockdowns are removed because they separated emergency procedures versus elective procedures. And I considered mine to be an emergency. My doctors were like, this guy is getting sicker and sicker, weight's piling, hair's falling, he looks like he's sick, like he's not doing well. His organs are starting to get affected. And they're like, I'll never forget this. Unless he's dying today, it's not an emergency. That was what they said. Unless he's dying today, it's not an emergency. They said if medication can subside, and even if he's in pain or whatever, but if he's not dying today, it is considered elective, not emergency. So cool. So I was by the result of a failed medical system during a totally overhyped era of like, oh, this COVID virus, this COVID. That's COVID, dude. COVID wasn't what scared me during COVID. I got COVID 3 times. That didn't mean to me. It was when I had this going on. I was like, I'm going to die from this before COVID ever fucking gets its hands on me. Finally got in, had the endoscopy, and they're like, and I know it's bad because the chick that I would go at the front desk, who was my gastric doctor's like front desk chick, super bubbly. We'd always joke around and have a good time. And she's like, hey, Art. And I was like, oh, too serious. She'd never answered the phone serious or called me serious. I was like, is it bad? She's like, well, it's not cancer. We were on the last stage before it was stomach cancer. I was like, okay. She's like, however, I think it was his nurse practitioner that told me. It was like, oh, it was a H. pylori. It's a very common bacterial infection. You can get it from food, water, kissing, not washing your hands. It's like so easy to get. Majority of America has either gotten it or has it, right? But again, it's super easy to treat. But if you do not treat it, it is a nightmare what it does to your GI system. So I had GERD, I had gastritis, I had all kinds of like GI issues going on, inflammation, and to this day I still struggle with that because there's no even after you get it out of your system, when it roots itself, it's hard. So I still suffer from, gastric inflammation quite a bit. They get me in there, they find out what it is. It demolished my organs, my stomach, my throat, my liver was already getting all messed up. So they're like, all right, we've got to schedule a thing. And at this point, I think I was 414 pounds, 415 pounds was my biggest. And they were like, hey, would you consider weight loss surgery? And at this point too, dude, I was on every medication you could imagine. Pain meds, muscle relaxers, GI medication, anti-acid producing, anti-bile. It was like a million things I was on. So my energy was not there. I was super lethargic all the time. I had no energy to do anything. And then depression naturally sinks in with that because it was like I just left my job. My company was going under with working at the bank. It was just It was a total nightmare working there. So my mental health was down. My weight was up. I just had a baby. We had just bought a house. It was like everything was piling on at once. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to make it out of this alive, it feels like. But scheduled, so that all happened at 2018. Fast forward, February 14, 2024, I finally had the surgery. That's how long this whole process took. From 2018 to 2024 is all of the suffering in between and an incredible medication. I finally got a new doctor, and that doctor looks at the meds and goes, hey, why are you on this muscle relaxer specifically? And I was like, I don't know, he just gave it to me. And I was like, I feel like a zombie when I take it. He goes, yeah, it's an antidepressant. It's not even a muscle. He's like, yeah, it's a muscle relaxer, but he says it's an antidepressant before it's a muscle relaxer. It's like he could have given you 30 different medications and he gave you this. I was like, yeah. I was like, I knew it, bro. Even the way they prescribe medication is like just a whole fucking nightmare. So February 14th, Valentine's Day, I went in for modified room-wide bypass. Best doctor on the planet, freaking Dr. Awad did it. And that was it, bro. They cut out a bunch of my stomach. They cut out part of my throat. They cut out part of my liver. They like cleaned up everything that was destroyed from that infection. And that was it, bro. I woke up. I remember waking up that day, and I have the photo, the one I showed you. Like, I woke up and I was like, I'm sore, but I don't feel any of the things that I normally felt every single day of my life when I woke up. And that was it, bro. I just started taking my health really serious. I was like, this is my second chance. Part of me, before I went into surgery, my wife, was like, oh, we're expecting again after 5 years of pregnancy struggles and multiple miscarriages. And yeah, dude, I had a dream that my oldest daughter, I died in it. I don't know if I told you that. I died in my dream, and my wife was angry at me for dying. And I was talking to her, and she's like, don't talk to me. You left me. I was like, I didn't choose to leave you. You guys are assholes. What are you doing? But I went in that dream. It's like it spanned more than one day. It was like 3 days or 4 days in one. And sure enough, bro, I see my kid staring at pictures of us crying her eyes out. And I woke up that day from that dream, and I was like, that's it. I'm going forward with the surgery. Because every big person, especially, I wasn't even big. I was fat. That's why I make the joke where it was like, I'm the founder of the Triple F Club. And they go, what's the Triple F Club? I go, the former fat. That is, I am the founding member of the Triple F Club, and I don't care what anybody says. Because I was looking for excuses. Because that's the problem, is we make a million excuses. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I can diet. I know what to do. I've done it before. Okay, so do it, right? Like, there's a million excuses that come with it. And that was when I changed my mentality and decided to be more, because I hold other people accountable, and I'm like, I hold myself accountable when it comes to my work. I hold myself accountable when it comes to my parenting. How come I don't hold myself accountable when it comes to myself, my health, my well-being? So I started changing that mindset too. And then I just went really strict with my diet. The second that the 6 weeks post-surgery was good, I started working out. I was at the pickleball place next door that are clients of mine, where I helped them open that facility. 3 hours a day, every day. And I was already at that point, 6 weeks later, like 350 pounds. So I wasn't light. But pickleball, bro, I was playing 3 hours a day, every day. Summer, winter, it didn't matter. I was playing every single day. I would go from work and I'd go play straight 3 hours from when they would open in the evening to close. And then the weight would come down, and I started going on these liquid fasts. I was still on my liquid fast for almost 2 months. I lost 200 pounds, or I'm sorry, I lost 100 pounds in 2 months, because it was 50 pounds a month just from purging all this bad shit out of my body. And then I cut the sugars. I was on very strict macros. And then sure enough, the nutritionists are like, you shouldn't do that. You're not going to sustain it. There's going to be a point where you plateau. And I was like, cool, when that point comes, then I'll listen to you. I found something that worked for me, and the weight was shredding off. Sure enough, 270 pounds in 10 months. And they were like, all right, it wasn't supposed to work, but it worked. So we're just going to move on from that. And that was it, bro. And then now I'm implementing weight training into it. But I feel bad for those who are in their weight struggle. And when I listen to them describe it, I see myself, because I see the excuses. I hear the whys, they can't, the can'ts, the whys, the who's, and I was like, look, got to get right with yourself, got to get right with God, and then you do it, right? It's like I held myself accountable, and I found out how much trauma I was carrying from childhood all the way up, and I let those things go, and I just focused on me. And my biggest thing was like, why don't you work out? Oh, because I have to worry about my family, I have to worry about my kids, I have to worry about my wife, worry about my clients, worry about my mom, my dad, my brother, my this, that. And I realized, holy shit, I'm worrying about them. Who's worrying about me? Because if I die, what happens to them? So I put myself first. So now I put myself first before my family, before my kids. I put myself first because if I put myself first, then I'll be in a position to put them subsequently after that first. So that's kind of my new mentality with it. And that's my story. Subscribe to my OnlyFans.
That's good that you started with pickleball, because I think one of the biggest obstacles people have is as soon as they think about like exercising or losing weight, they think, oh, I got to get on the treadmill. I got to be on the treadmill for an hour. I got to lift these weights and stuff.
I didn't touch a treadmill once.
Yeah.
I didn't touch weights once.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of those things. I didn't go to a gym one time. I was literally just pickleball every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's why people have trouble really getting started, because they have that image of, I have to get on the treadmill. I have to do everything that sucks.
I don't, even to this day, I don't do it.
It's like, no, you just got to find a lane. You got to find some kind of like activity that's physical that you're actually going to be able to enjoy. For you, it's pickleball. For you, you know, I know you like to train like Muay Thai or whatever. Some people like dancing. You just got to find something find your own lane.
Well, I was trying to find something that was easy on my joints. Because being that big, again, I laugh when people are like, at my biggest. And I go, what's your biggest? They're like 240 pounds. I'm like, out of here, dude. That was like one of my ass cheeks. Like, what are you talking about? That's my biggest. And I get it, for them, that's their biggest. But when you're in that kind of weight class of like 400 and plus, biggest to like, I would have stabbed you to be 240 pounds if I could have swapped positions. You know what I mean? At that time. But it's like, you have to be realistic too. Like if you're 400, 500, 600 pounds, or even in the high threes, like you can't be doing stuff like that. You can hurt yourself doing stuff like that. And that was the thing I didn't want to do. I didn't want to, because I felt like that's every time I would try to diet or get healthy again, I'd always end up hurt. I'd go to the gym, I'd start doing shit that I'm not really meant to do at that body weight, and then I would hurt myself.
Yeah. And it creates a negative loop.
Oh, exactly. So it was like, I found something that was easy on the joints, because I was seeing a bunch of like bionic people, bro. You go on a pickleball court and everybody's like, brace, 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 brace. And you're like, damn, these people are like 80 years old. Like, I'm fat as fuck, but I can probably do this because it's about the same. Their old bodies and hurt and this. And I'm like, all right. So I tried. It was super easy on the joints. Yeah, I was sore because you're exercising, but you're having such a good time where it was like, and I'm not an ambassador for pickleball or anything. It's just I had never played it, and I was like, "This is fun." And
it's fun, yeah.
And it's not like tennis, because tennis is super. Like I tried tennis. Tennis kicked my ass. It's too much on the cardio.
Oh,
it's too much.
The running in the back.
It was too much, especially at that weight. I couldn't do it, so I was getting winded. But pickleball is like, this is, especially in doubles. It's like you have this one square. This is your box. Stay in your box. I was like, I can do this, dude. I'll be the best box holder anybody's ever seen. So it's a lot of movement, but they're short movements. So your joints aren't extending or overreaching where they shouldn't be. So it's I felt like it was good for me. But like you said, dancing, whatever it is. I remember a buddy of mine lost a lot of weight, and he was like, oh, he's doing hot yoga. He goes, oh, he's doing hot yoga. And he goes, he's half the man he used to be. And I said, why? Because he's doing yoga or because he lost the weight? And everybody, we're all just started fucking cracking up.
That's hilarious.
It's like, he's half the man he used to be. Yeah, man, it's just.
Yeah, that's interesting, because when I think of pickleball, I thought like tennis. I was like, wouldn't that be harder on the joints? Man. But I don't know. You're in a small little square.
It's just in your square. So it's, if I remember correctly, one tennis court is like 4 pickleball courts. So that's to put it in size reference. It's I think it's a 1-4 or 1-2, whatever it is. The point is, one tennis court is like multiple pickleball courts. So if you think about playing doubles, you're using 20% of a tennis court.
Yeah, that's
for
easy.
Yourself.
That's easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you look at it that way, it's like, all right, cool. It's not that bad. And again, it's exercise, but your joints aren't. I never felt pain playing. The worst I got was like, oh, my wrist, because your serves and stuff. But eventually, your body builds up from there.
Yeah, that's why I kind of get those kind of mixed up a little bit. I never played pickleball, but I've played tennis, and I remember it is a really killer.
Yeah, it is. You hurt
cardio
your ankles,
workout.
Your Achilles, because you
got to shift. Yeah, you got to shift. Yeah,
and dragging.
It's like basketball. I remember before I got into martial arts and fighting, that was my form of cardio, was basketball.
Yeah.
And it's tougher on all the joints. It's tougher on the knees and the ankles.
And the older we get, it's worse. Yeah. Like I'm 31. I just turned 31 in July. But with my weight, with the way that it was, with the strain that it put on my body, with the bacterial infection that ruined my organs, my body's probably in its 40s. That's why I have to do 6 hours of physical therapy a week. Every week I do over 6 hours of physical therapy between my joints, my back, my this, my that. Because it's funny though, because I feel unhealthy. I didn't go to the doctor often, but when I never had these pains. Like I didn't have the pains in my knees and my elbows and my back. My feet would swell from the being so big, my ankles and shit. I was starting to get edema in my ankles, but
What's edema?
it's pretty much almost like your heart starting to get close to heart failure because it's a retention of fluid. So like your ankles swell and you press it in and then it would stay indented. Usually that's a sign of like you're having congenital heart failure. And I was like, damn, dude, I'm 29, 28, and this is happening. So I started freaking out.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff you don't really hear
about.
Oh,
dude, yeah. It's insane. And it's like but now it's like I lost all this weight and it's like everything started hurting. Everything, my elbows, my knees, my back, my neck, my shoulder, everything was just hurting. And then they're like, oh, I was like, I thought you guys said getting skinny was gonna help this shit, and it didn't. It didn't at all. It made it worse. And every doctor's like, it'll get better, but it's been a minute. Why I had lost so much weight that my gallbladder gave out. I had to go in for emergency surgery to have my gallbladder removed because my organ died. It was like, we're tapped out. We can't go from being this fat to losing this much weight, so it tapped out on me. So I've been in the hospital for 3 emergency medical procedures. Emergency medical procedures twice since surgery. Surgeries total 3. So the initial surgery, the emergency surgery in July, and then most recently in April or May, I woke up and I had blood coming out of both holes. And my wife, who's a nurse, I told her, and it was after the baby because she was being an asshole and not waking up. She's like, I'm tired. And I was like, I think I'm throwing up blood. And she's like, you're fine. You're fine. Because nurses are their worst patient. But I was like, it's funny, dude. If your wife's a nurse, they don't even treat you good. Like, what the fuck? You're a nurse. Do something. And I told her, I was like, hey, I think I'm throwing up blood. And before that, I literally had a slice of pizza like this big. And my stomach immediately. And I was like, she's like, are you all right? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if it was that one slice of pizza because I don't eat junk anymore. I was like, maybe it was that. And she goes, maybe. I said, I think I threw up blood. And she goes, oh, it's probably just irritation because if your stomach was making all those kinds of noise, it could just be irritation from whatever. I go, okay. And I pooped blood. And then I was like, Liz, and she's like, now it's not sleeping because the baby was just born. So this was shortly after April, when our daughter was born in April. And then the second time I threw up and I pooped blood again, like a lot. It was a lot of clots. And I go, Liz, and she goes, I was like, get your ass up, I'm fucking dying over here. I'm like, come look. And she's like, that's a lot of blood. And then she's like, let's go to the hospital. Bro, I was so assed out, so exhausted that I was like, no, it's 3 a.m. It's like, no, I'm going to go to sleep. So I jump in bed and then I pass out. I wake up in the morning and then she's like, how are you feeling? I'm like, I don't know. And then I go use the restroom again, all blood. And I almost fainted. And I yelled out her name and I'm on the floor and I'm like, let's go to the hospital. Even then I was being a stubborn fucking guy. I was like, let's go to the hospital. And yeah, I went to the hospital. And another medical failure there. We can touch into that in another time because that's a long story in itself. But I essentially got into a massive argument, started fucking throwing fits, and then because dude, I got admitted at like 8 a.m, 10 p.m. I barely got into a room, and they're like, "Oh, we have to call your GI doctors." Turns out they never called my GI doctors. I had continuously lost blood. I went from 14 hemoglobin down to 7. And anything at 7 is considered an emergency. Like you're at this point, you're lost so much blood. So they had to do an emergency transfusion, iron, blood. They had to cauterize the ulcer. And then I called my GI doctors and they're like, they never called us. They were supposed to tell us about this. So I to this day, I'm still fighting the hospitals with this argument and whatever. But it's like the medical system is one of those things where the entire time I was fighting for myself. And the nurses are like, oh, you can eat, you can drink. And I was like, no, if you guys are going to get me down into that room to do it, I can't have food in my system. So it's like, well, the doctor didn't say you can't eat. I'm like, are you retarded? Like, I'm bleeding out of every hole a lot. Your nurses are verifying it. I am visibly getting worse and worse. And bro, it's fucking crazy. It's crazy. The medical system is a big failure, and I don't care. That quote me on that. The medical system in this country is a big failure. It feels like no doctor gives a shit, no nurse gives a shit. It's like you're just another number. It's like the bedside manner is gone.
Even if you had good insurance,
it doesn't matter what you have. They don't give a shit. They just don't.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting statistic, isn't it? Isn't that the number 3 killer in the U.S.? Misdiagnosis.
Probably. Yeah. Probably. I'm over here having to tell a doctor, we were at 14, we're at 7. You think I'm fine? Well, your vitals are good. Are you retarded? My vitals are good. What does my blood pressure have to do with me blood for 10 hours straight? Well, you'd be bad. It's like, you want me to go from alive to dead for you to do something? You don't want to be preventative. Instead, they're reactive, and I don't like that, bro. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like, no, I don't do that.
Yeah, you definitely have to do your own research and really advocate for yourself.
Bro, you have to. I feel sorry because it's like, imagine the people that just implicitly trust that they're at the hospital and the hospital is going to do it. Dude, when I had my bariatric surgery, my Roux-en-Y bypass, I was in this like fancy stretcher when I had woken up from surgery. I was like, damn, this thing's fancy. And they go, oh. And then I started smelling piss. And I go, did I piss myself? And they go, no, why? I said, I smell piss. They go, you can't. It's a brand new bed and we just changed the sheets. Bro, sure enough, I found the piss stain that was still wet on the mattress. And I go, it's here. What the f***? I smell my fingers. I go, here, your clean mattress. I put it up to her face. She's like, oh my God. So I go wash my hands. And I go, this is a pretty fancy like bed. She goes, oh, they're brand new. And she goes, she was a traveling artist. And she told me she had heard a story like a couple weeks prior to that. Somebody had died of a heart attack and they didn't know how to use the stretcher and lay it flat so that they could do proper chest compression. And I'm sitting here going, first of all, why are you telling me this? This doesn't invoke confidence. And then my follow-up question was like, you know how to do it now, right? They're like, yeah, we know how to do it now. But imagine if that was the reason that gentleman had passed away because they couldn't tilt their bed back. Like, that's this is the kind of, it's like, you're going to a hospital, you expect to be taken care of, and meanwhile, they're like, well, he kind of died. We didn't know how to put the chair back to give him proper chest compressions. Now, again, did that cause the death? Who knows? And when you go up against these hospitals, they have so much money where it's like, does it even make a difference at this point? Subscribe to my OnlyFans. I don't have an OnlyFans, but if enough of you want to subscribe.